evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. It's the Town of Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen meeting. This is January 3rd, 2018. Mr. Owen, do we have a need for non-public tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have one item of litigation and one regarding real estate.
Thank you. Now, first we have the approval of the minutes dated December 20th, 2017 from a regular meeting. Board members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of changes. On page 3, the third paragraph up from the bottom, it should state, Ms. Murray stated it would be nice if, and then she should be crossed out, the town could get a bill, and then scratch out or something. And then on page 10, it is up from the motion, the last motion on the page, up 1, 2, 3 lines, it should read, Ms. Murray stated immediate was used in the report and should be tied to the tie and bond report. And then on page 11, last paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line up from the bottom, it should say 6 semi-finalists. Mine needs to be put in that, and that's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, I have one also on the first page. Under the motion for consideration of minutes, I had abstained from the vote on that, so I need to have that in there.
Okay, a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have a few public hearings tonight. We'll start with New England Chapter Antique and Classic Boat Society, Inc. to hold a boat show on July 28th, 2018 from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the town docks and parking lot, Cape Park, and the Wolfeboro Community Bandstand.
Can you turn the
Switch on right there.
switch on the mic?
I think it's on, you just need to speak into it.
Doesn't seem to be. I wonder if the battery isn't working.
Bill Marcuson with the New England chapter of the Antique and Classic Boat Society, and what we are requesting is a permit for our annual boat show on the same
There we go.
request and conditions as we had for our show last year. This will be on the 28th of July, which is the last Saturday of the month.
I'll open the public hearing. Is there any members of the audience that wish to ask any questions or speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board?
Yes, there were 2 comments written on the application that we were given, is you must maintain access to the fireboat, and the police wrote police detail for traffic control. So you'll need to check with the police department on that. The other one you've had before.
Anything else from the board? Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the issuance of a temporary outdoor event permit to the New England Chapter Antique and Classic Boat Society, Inc. to hold a boat show on July 28th, 2018 from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the town docks and parking lot, Cape Park, and the Wolfeboro Community Bandstand.
I'll second that.
The motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we have to approve the issuance of a temporary outdoor event permit to the New England Chapter Antique and Classic Boat Society, Inc. to hold a boat and car show on September 15, 2018 from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the town docks and parking lot, Cape Park, and the Wolfeboro Community Bandstand.
And again, this is an event that we run every other year for quite a number of years here in town. I'm not sure exactly how long, but we're looking to run it in the same manner as in the past.
Okay, the public hearing is open. Is there any members of the public that, any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board members?
Yes, I will. The same two comments are on this application, if you'll just check with the police department on that.
Will do.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the issuance of a temporary outdoor event permit to the New England Chapter Antique and Classic Boat Society, Inc., to hold a boat and car show on September 15, 2018, from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the town docks and parking lot, Cape Park, and the Wolfeboro Community Bandstand.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion from the board? Being none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have proposed bond issues, which are over $100,000. The first one is for the 2018 bond issue not to exceed the amount of $4,855,000 for the purpose of design and construction of the Wolfeboro Public Library. Does someone speak to this?
This warrant article represents the plan to expand and renovate the Wolfeboro Public Library. This includes repairing the problems with the existing building and expanding the library by about 5,000 square feet, dealing with both functional issues and mechanical issues. And I believe that the warrant article has been reworded, and I assume all of you have received a copy of the reworded warrant article. To clarify, the way the funding works is you ask for the full amount. The project is not going to exceed $5 million. We offset that with capital reserve fund and some monies that are in a trust fund that the trustees hold. And then additionally, there is funding that the Wolfeboro Public Library Foundation has been raising for the library project. And John, were you going to address that? So John Sandine, the president of the Wolfeboro Public Library Foundation, was going to address that aspect. Do you want him to do that now or during the public hearing?
I'll open the public hearing, and members of the public can approach. Just make sure you state your name.
John Sandine. I'd like to make 3 points. First of all, thanks. Second of all, talking about the plan itself and the investment. And the third point about opportunity. The thanks goes to you folks because you've been very supportive, as well as to the committees, the planning board, the CIP, the budget committee, also the town officials, Dave Owen, Matt Sullivan, and his predecessor, Rob Hausman, and Dave Ford. They've all been greatly helpful to the library planning and to putting out this, the various bids that have gone out. We want to thank the donors, and we also saw a lot of thanks from the citizens of the town when we put on 2 different parades, 4th of July parade and at the Christmas parade. People were standing on the sidelines just saying, this is a great library. And to the library patrons, and particularly to Cindy, who has really honchoed this project from the very beginning, 10 years or more, thinking about the expansion of the library. The library trustees have also been very helpful. The Friends of the Library have been helpful, and the foundation directors have been very helpful. Second point, this is a great plan. This is the best design that we've got. It's been developed over many years, as I said, even 10 years. It's an excellent construction plan. The library gets to stay open. while it's being expanded. It's the right time for the bonding rates. And we've got a large donor pledge base to support this effort. And it's really an ideal time for the warrant article. So the third point, opportunity. Opportunity knocks. This library project fits with the overall town development directions. We've waited, we've gotten in line, we've put the library project behind some other projects, including this building itself. It's the right time, opportunity, because U.S. financial markets are in the right place. It's the right time because we've got private donations and pledges that are strong and will get stronger. And it's the right time because the library plan solves all of the pressing issues in one package. Our opportunity is here today. Let's take it.
Thank you. Anyone else speak to the library?
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out, it was alluded to by Cindy, that the warrant article for the library renovation project has been rewritten because when we sent it into the Department of Revenue Administration for review, as we do every year, we send all of our warrant articles in for review to make sure we're not doing something that they're going to disapprove of later. But we got comments back that they required changes in the wording. It said the wording of this warrant article does not give a clear intent and the amounts and purposes need to be clarified. So we gave it to town council and asked them to rewrite it in a way that met DRA's concerns, and he did that, and I think everybody that has seen it agrees that it's clearer on how the funding works now.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming that we're going to look at any of the wording, and I have some changes in the bolding, and I don't
Yes,
know.
that's fine.
Shall we do it when we do all the warrant
Yeah,
articles?
when we review the warrant
Okay.
articles.
Anyone else from the public on this, before I close the public hearing? Going once, twice. Public hearing is closed. Anything from the board? Okay. Okay, next we have the 2018 bond for $263,000 for the purpose of layout, design, and construction and reconstruction of Westwood Drive. Mr. Ford?
Thank you. Dave Ford, Public Works Director. This is a project that is was petitioned, the Selectmen were petitioned by the residents on Westwood Drive to take over the road as a town road with a condition that there's a betterment assessment to pay for it. We've worked closely with Joe Borello and the residents there. We had our public hearings and heard from all of them that no one spoke against it, and over 90% actually signed and are for the project. The project, we set up a upper limit of the 263, and there's a breakdown, and that does include not only the construction costs, the engineering permitting costs, but also legal and administrative costs. And it also has a contingency in there because there's certain things we don't have known. Our hope is that we can reduce the cost and get it for less, but this is the maximum amount of the bond that we're showing. If the warrant article is approved, we'll hopefully get this project done next year and get them up to standards. Any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. I'll open the public hearing. Any members of the public that wish to speak? I'll close the public hearing. Board, any further discussions? Next, we have acceptance of a grant greater than $10,000. This is a grant in the amount of $50,000 from New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to complete the Lake Wentworth Crescent Lake Watershed Management Plan Implementation Phase 3.
Is Matt here? Here he is. Are you going to speak to this?
You may remember several months ago, I did come to the board and we had actually proposed this grant and submitted an application. This is through the NHDS for the 319 program. The town has successfully been awarded 2 of these grants in prior funding cycles. This particular grant is for 2 project locations, the Route 109 BMPs and the Camp Bernadette BMPs. The specific request tonight is following the signature of the grant by Governor and Council, which has been completed. The town typically accepts these grants formally. In this case, the acceptance would be for $50,000. And I did want to note that there also is a 2/3 match requirement that the town and the Wentworth Watershed Association are going to partner in filling, and that's a $33,000, $350 match requirement through cash and volunteer time and labor time. But the request tonight specifically is for acceptance of the $50,000 that come with the NHDES funding through the grant program.
Okay, I'll open the public hearings. Any members of the public that have any questions, comments? Close the public hearing. Board.
Matt, I just have one question.
Sure.
That on the first page, it said, first paragraph, last line, effective upon governor and council approval through December 31st, 2019. That the length of time you have to do it.
That's correct. That's for completion, correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Make the motion to approve accepting a grant in the amount of $50,000 from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to complete the Lake Wentworth Crescent Lake Watershed Management Plan Implementation Phase 3.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Moving on, we have the bulk vote, which this week includes weekly Matters Fest, property tax refunds and abatements, property tax credits and exemptions. Motion to accept the bulk vote.
Mr. Chairman, shall we read the amounts and for what purpose
Sure.
we're removing funds for the capital reserve account so that
can do
people
that, yeah.
understand that? I think that.
So we have some vouchers to withdraw funds from our capital reserve fund accounts. The first one is a DPW Vehicles and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund, which coming out of that's going to be $188,870. Next, we have the Abenaki Ski Area Capital Reserve Fund, and the amount on that is $485. Next, we have a Wastewater Treatment Plant Capital Reserve Fund in the amount of $4,370.81. Then we have a Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund for $10,836.28. And finally, we have Foss Field Replacement Building Capital Reserve Fund, and this is for the amount of $176,246.14, the new pavilion building.
I'll move that we accept the bulk vote.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Moving on to new business, we have some 2017 carryovers, and Pete Chamberlain is here to present those to us.
Evening, Pete Chamberlain, Director of Finance. I have a fairly brief request for carryovers. One is for the Cape Park Snow Wall reconstruction that I discussed the other night with you folks very briefly. And the other is for a Pop Whalen roof leak item. I Christine's going to be here. Maybe she could, if you have any questions with regard to those, she might be willing to talk about them.
I think I've asked plenty of questions about them.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thanks, Pete.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the 2017 carryover list.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion from the board? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have Josiah W. Brown Scholarship Awards. Mr. Owen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the end of the year was the deadline for receipt of applications for the next round of scholarship awards, Ms. Josiah W. Brown Scholarship Fund, and we received 5 applications. They're all repeat customers. They're continuing scholars from Wolfeboro that have been previously been awarded scholarship assistance through this fund. Their financial circumstances don't seem to have changed much. They all appear eligible. And only note I would make is one of them we didn't receive his fall grades yet. We're supposed to check and make sure that they maintain a C average. And so I made a note that his award should be subject upon receiving those fall grades. So the 5 individuals are Maria Hendrickson, Lily Green, Seth Richardson, David Moore, and Callista Jacob. I'm suggesting that the board may want to entertain awarding $2,000 scholarship awards this time around like you did last fall, as there's still a pretty healthy balance in the scholarship fund at this point, and I think you can afford to do that.
I think we can too, Mr. Owen. I think that's a great idea. I'm in support of that.
What a motion? A motion on that? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the awarding the $2,000 to each of the children Dave mentioned there, with the condition that we receive the grades on that one individual there to still come in.
I'll second that.
Your motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have a request from the town of Tufton Borough to combine to do joint lifeguard training. Christine?
Can you hear me? I had the town of Tufton Borough, one of the selectmen, approach me, and getting lifeguards has always been a struggle. So they wanted to combine, they actually wanted me to man their lifeguards with our lifeguards. Like, I would take on the responsibility of training the lifeguards and manning their beaches. They would reimburse us. So my first question with that would be liability-wise. So I put a call out to Primex just to see if this was even something we could do. Talking to Primex, it is something that can be done because I think we partner with other things with Tufton Borough, and also they are covered by Primex, so it's not outlandish to even bring this to our, have it as an idea. So they said what we would need to do is work with our town council to draw up a contractor plan, transfer risk to the town of Tufton Borough when these lifeguards are trained and they are working at that facility. Because my concern was, they said when the lifeguards are working for us, it goes wherever they go, so that's fine. But if someone was to get hurt on Tufton Borough property when they were working there, that would be their responsibility. Or if we were to say we had overtime, then Tufton Borough would have to pay for that, stuff like that. So they just said we would have to do an agreement if it was something we wanted to look at. I do understand they don't have as many lifeguards as we have in Wolfeboro, so I think it's hard for them to train the staff and secure that. With us, we do have more lifeguards. I did express to them sometimes I have difficulty getting lifeguards, so I don't know if I would have enough lifeguards, but if we were to train lifeguards, it does open up hours for people, so whether they work there or here. So they do want to have a meeting with me to discuss further, but before I even had a meeting, I wanted to even see if it was something we would want to engage in or not at all.
I have a few questions. First one is, do you have the time to man another beach and all that'll go on with that responsibility? And the other thing I'd like to know from them is whether they'll pay for the cost of us drawing up a legal document.
Okay.
I don't have any trouble you training them if we have the right, but I question whether you have extra time. Hasn't been something that I've seen, and the cost. Put it, if they want to take the cost to make it happen, I feel differently. I'm not willing for us to pay for town attorney to draw that up.
Okay. Thinking about it, my only concern would be, like, we have an aquatic instructor and I have an assistant aquatic instructor, so I do have the manpower to help do that. My concern is getting them to and from those beaches. Like, if they had to go there, that's a drive out to the beach to make sure they're all set and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to hear what they were looking for. Is it just sharing the training obligation and then release the guards to them and they have everything so they can man their own beach, or kind of get a little bit more feel for what they're looking for? I don't really know. I know they do lessons, so I don't know if they want to continue doing lessons and kind of get that piece too. So I have to have a little bit more information on it, but I just wanted to even know if I should even entertain it before I started reaching out and asking all these questions. Yes.
How many lifeguards are they talking? How many do they need? Do you know that yet?
I don't know that. Okay. Yeah, I know they did have, and I think she left, they had like an aquatics director there. And then they do offer lessons, and I don't know if it's even competing with our lessons, if it could be something we combined and they come to us, or could it be a different time slot? So those are all questions I have to ask them.
Okay. Do you want to go ask some more questions?
Yeah, I got, a comment too, is, share the same concerns that was just said here, and also wondering, because we always seem to be a little short of our lifeguards too and stuff to man all the beaches, and if this would even make it a little bit harder or not on us, to take on more, for your time and, to find more lifeguards that we already have a shortage of. It's kind of a concern that I have on this, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not sure how many lifeguards they have on staff already that we could benefit from, so that was kind of like, we're kind of short-staffed, they're kind of short-staffed, I didn't know. So that would be something I would question too.
Why don't you find out what they're looking for?
Okay.
I'd say get more information.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say that too.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Christine.
Yeah.
Next, we have review of the warrant articles that we're continuing to review.
Okay, to
Want
start
to
out,
pull these out, or are we going to go through each one again? How do you want to do this? Want to pull ones out that...
yeah, there's a few of them I'll point out to you that there's been changes. What I'm handing out right now is a revised list of the warrant articles that includes the zoning articles now. We have titles for the zoning articles, and so I've numbered the articles, and this would be the proposed numerical order for the warrant articles, unless anyone has a change in that. Now, as I mentioned, the library renovation and expansion project article was revised to meet the requirements of DRA, and you have the revised wording in your packets, and I understand Ms. Murray has some suggested changes in...
Yeah, let's go through that one first.
Yeah, I had, and here's one for that table, and I'll give one over here to Brad. I had trouble, there was just so much bolded, so I removed all the bolding for the words like $5 million, and just bolded the $5 million, and this, I went on down, instead of $485,000, $4,855,000. I took all the wording out that spells out those amounts, which gave more boldness to see the exact figures that we were talking about. And I just found it looked better to me. It's all the same wording, but it just lets you see that those numbers stick out. And so I don't know how others feel, but I found that when you just get a big block of
Yep.
bolding, it doesn't do what I think we were wanted to do. And if anybody wants to change any of this, I'm absolutely fine with it. I was just trying to get some bold and non-bolded areas in the warrant article.
Looks good to me.
I didn't change any of the wording, I just took out some of the bolding.
If I can get a copy of that, I'll be
can have
glad
this
to
one.
make
Yeah, we can have
those
that.
changes.
It's the one I emailed to you.
Okay.
Looks like the next one you have here, Dave, is the effluent disposal study.
Yes, as you know, we're in discussions for relative to the purchase of 5 acres of land adjacent to the RIB site. And so I talked to town council about adding some language that would give the selectmen authority to use part of the proceeds of this warrant article to fund that land acquisition, and that's in the article now.
And I also played around with the bolding on this. I took out the $500,000, I unbolded that. I left in the $500,000 in numerical number for the purpose of designing and permitting the long-term effluent disposal solution. And then I didn't bold those lines relating to the administrative order. I left those regular, and also to acquire approximately 5-acre parcel of land in Tuftonboro adjacent to the town rapid infiltration basin site for the purpose of completing the required improvements. And then I took out the written number, and then I unbolded such expenditures so that the will not result in any increase to the tax rate stands out better. I'll show it to Brad and then I'll pass it down. For some reason, I only printed one of those. Just playing around to see if we can get it so what's really happening is bolded and the extra words that don't really tell us that much are not.
Okay.
If that's agreeable, we can just pass it on down to Dave Owen.
Sure.
And I just think it makes those things stand out.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Libby Museum feasibility study. Mr. Owen, it looks like,
Yes, I was provided a copy of the warrant article that the architect that's working on the Libby Museum for the town made a few suggested wording changes, so I incorporated them in the article. They were pretty minor. I think if you're looking at the article, the third line where it says feasibility study on design options, he added the word design. The word design wasn't there before. And on the about a line or so beyond that where it says in additions to it by improving, before the word was renovating, it was renovating and or expanding. He's saying by improving and or expanding. So just a slight difference in the words. And he added the word historic, existing historic museum building. So those are the changes that he suggested, and they seemed like reasonable, helpful changes to me, so I included them in the article.
Looks good to me.
And then the property tax prepayment.
Well, yes, we and every other municipality in the country have been overrun with people in the last week or so wanting to prepay their taxes. And in New Hampshire, there's a local adoption statute that the town has never adopted. So we have no authority to accept prepayment of property taxes. So even though it's going to be too late to do the people that were calling any good, the thought was that perhaps we should adopt that statute in case in the future a similar circumstance ever arises, and we will have adopted the statute.
I got a number of calls from people asking about it, and it seems to me we might as well have it on the books.
Yep.
Who knows if we'll ever be able to use it, but at least we won't get caught, because Alton has it on the books. So I had somebody who had property part in Wolfeboro and part in Alton and couldn't understand why she couldn't do it here. So I support adding that, and the voters can tell us whether they want it or not.
Fine with me. Okay.
So that's pretty well covers it as far as changes to the articles, unless board members have anything else you want to add or change. If not, we can go on to assignment of warrant articles for the PowerPoint presentation that we do. That'll be on the 16th of January.
Don't we have to vote to authorize, take a vote on the authorization of prepay of taxes?
Oh, yes, that's true. That hasn't been voted on. You're correct.
I'll make a motion that we place this warrant article on the town warrant and support it.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, signing the articles. Start off with, on the top there, library renovation and expansion project.
I'm comfortable doing that one, but Dave Bowers is the board's representative to the library.
Dave Bowers did indicate to me that he would like to.
Okay.
I would think he should be the one to do that.
Okay. So Dave B. on that one, and then we have construction of Westwood Drive. I can do that one. Stormwater collection system asset management plan.
I can do that one.
Okay. The operating budget. I'll do it. Town road upgrades.
I'll do that one.
Brad. The reconstruction of the 390 line.
I can do that one.
Okay. Repair dockside docks.
I'll do that one.
Okay. And dockside expansion.
I can do that one,
Okay.
too.
Dockside public restroom improvements.
I'll do that one.
Okay. Effluent disposal study.
I'll do that one.
Okay. Sewer rehabilitation. I can do it.
We should probably give something else to Dave
Okay.
Dave Bowers along the way.
Yeah.
Replace water treatment plant control panels.
So
I
we
can
give
do
that to Dave Bowers?
Sure.
We're giving that to Dave Bowers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pine Street water line replacement.
I'll do that one.
Okay. Brad. Bay Street sidewalk.
I'll do that one.
Okay. Establish dockside docks capital reserve fund.
I can do that one.
Dave. Dockside parking lot capital reserve fund.
I can do that one.
Okay. Fire truck and apparatus replacement capital reserve fund.
Should We give that to Dave Bauer?
Sure. Public Works Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund.
I'll do that one.
Okay, got that? Brad, okay. Abenaki Ski Area Capital Reserve Account.
I can do that one.
Okay.
Did you take that one, Dave?
Yeah.
Wastewater Treatment Plant Capital Reserve Fund.
I'll take that one.
Okay. Libby Museum Feasibility Study.
You skipped one.
Oh. Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund.
I can do that one.
Who wants that?
I can do that.
Okay. Libby Museum Feasibility Study.
I'll do that one.
Okay. Lakes Region Model Railroad, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's
Those
it.
we don't need.
Yeah, don't need those ones, so good. Okay.
We have a time already, right?
Yeah, we have January 16th at 1:30. Okay. Next okay, Linda?
Dave, can we get copies, the final copies of all these warrant articles with their numbers on them before we do that? Thank you.
Most certainly.
Thanks, Dave. Next, we have the town report back cover photo, and we had,
I asked my brother-in-law to take a picture of the Foss Field replacement building, and he said he just couldn't get a good picture without having all the construction. And when he angled it so you couldn't see it, it just distorted it. So his recommendation was that we wait for another year to do that. So I had Dave print up what we had put on the front so we can look at what we might want to put on the back.
okay. Got these two.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
this
would
would be
go
the-
well with some of the warrant articles.
I like this, yeah.
This is the front.
This is the front.
This is the front. So now we were
These
going
could
to...
be the back, hypothetically.
Well, the other possibility, and I went back to the reports, and we have run one this way, right? And I was wondering whether we would put the library back there. And this isn't a good copy here, but since that's our one of our major projects, this was, whoops, better get it the right way. This was when we did the spray fields. We did one long, so you could do one long like that on the back. So I just wanted to bring you a copy of one that we have done that. Most of the other ones have gone the other way. We did one year where we put a bunch of different pictures on the front, and one was landscaped. But I don't like that kind of a, I don't think that's as effective as
No.
picture on the front and a picture on the back. So I just brought those as possibilities for you. I contacted Bob Ness, and this is Bob Ness's, these are Bob Ness's pictures. And because Russell didn't have anything else, and he thought Bob Ness might have it. This one, in a very small, is on the Kingswood Press calendar this year.
Okay.
You know, I just wanted to...
I think the library on the back would be good.
Library in the back.
I think we'll be pleased with that, and I think the library people and the trustees and the foundation will be pleased with that also.
Okay.
Yeah, and he has it in a real nice quality.
We have a meeting with legislative delegation.
Well,
Do we do the,
this- just a discussion item to whether you want to do that.
We have 3 on the town report for, in memory of.
Yeah, and I guess I'd like to see it done like we've done in the past, not like we did last year. We did a nice job, and we put a picture in. So this last year, all we did was write a little article. There are no pictures. And I think it's far better if we could get a picture of the person so we really know there's a record of who they are. I don't know how others feel. That was my feeling.
That seems nice.
Get somebody to write up an article on them and then get a picture.
Okay.
Brad, can you help us with one?
I think there's one I can handle there.
Now you've taken care of all my needs.
Okay, the delegation wants to meet with us?
Well, I don't know if they want to meet with us, but we may want to invite them into a meeting and have some discussion with them. It's at the time of the year when the legislature is reconvening, and they've got a slew of bills, including the one that Linda wrote me about, was one of them not too far from here. He's not one of our reps, but close by, is proposing doing away with the timber tax entirely. So,
Okay, get them in here.
Come in here and tell them our point of views.
That's fine, the next meeting.
So if that's agreeable, I can invite our 2 reps and the senator into the next meeting and see if they're willing to come. And
Do you have a copy of those, some of the key bills that affect us, that you can get in our packet for us?
I can track down information, yes.
Okay. Town manager salary range, Linda, you want to?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I didn't attend the December 28th Budget Committee meeting because I thought we had gotten it all set, that the top range for the town manager would be $120,000. But on December 29th, they cut that back to $110,000. And I am concerned without having that range to 120, and that's based on our search firm's recommendation that we will not generate a large enough application pool for the town manager search. And I would like the board's approval to attend the January 4th Budget Committee public hearing and address the town manager's salary. And even more, I would like to be accompanied by all of you to go to that meeting. I think it would be important that they see that we're all there. Some of the key points, and this is one that Dave Bowers pointed out, the town manager is like a CEO, and we have a $26 million budget, which includes 4 business-type enterprise funds, which account for $13 million of that $26 million. A town manager needs to be hired based on education, training, and experience, and there's no question in my mind that we need an experienced town manager. A town manager opposed to a town administrator. The town manager is granted by state statute authority to oversee the everyday operations of the town and the staff. I believe that the town manager will need to be a person who works well with seasoned and new staff, who can blend Wolfeboro's rural and natural atmosphere while promoting the town as a 4-season recreational destination and a good place to do business, supports historic preservation, be able to help design, support large capital projects while encouraging private-public partnerships, a track record of establishing positive internal and external relationships, must have integrity, believe in transparency and openness, personable, accessible, and known for high customer service. The town manager will need to support the development of an asset management plan to help the town try to keep the tax rate as low as possible. When the board started to look at doing a search, we hired the search firm Municipal Resources, Inc. to assist the town. This is the same company that we used when we hired Dave Owen, and they believe that the salary range should be $90,000 to $120,000 commensurate on qualifications, and I believe that's important. And I'm reading this kind of so the public will hear, here are the qualifications the board is looking for, and this is what we use for our ideal candidate. A master's degree in public administration or related fields, 7 to 10 years of progressive municipal management experience, a proven record of positive financial management and strategic planning, a willingness and the ability to commit to the position for 7 years or more, a history of successful collective bargaining experience, the ability to think outside the box and to provide innovative solutions, strong written and verbal communication and interpersonal skills, the ability to listen and to provide the highest level of customer service, a successful background working with the public and private partnerships, a demonstrated ability to provide unbiased guidance, willingness to manage town's affairs in an open and transparent manner, the ability to lead, organize, inspire, and manage people and be a team player, strong public ethics, integrity, and accountability, and demonstrate skills in working collaboratively and building a consensus. So one of the things that I've provided for you tonight, and I want to thank John McDonald for doing the legwork of producing this for us, was when he had a list of what other towns, other town managers or town administrators in the state made, and so I wanted you to have that. I took it, I gave it to you, and it was in a real small spreadsheet, so I added a couple things to that spreadsheet. One, I gave everybody a 2% raise in 2018 because it was a 2017 survey. And when I talked to them at MRI, I had made some assumptions. I thought about why somebody might move to a new job, and I passed those thoughts on to MRI, and here are the answers that we kind of came to. A CEO or town manager most often move upward in terms of salary, adding either $5,000 to $10,000 more, and for more responsibilities, unless someone has a problem with their current employer. Few make lateral moves unless there is an opportunity to earn more money. Most often, an organization, business, town, hires a new CEO, town manager, and it pays that new person higher than the previous. A town manager is paid more than a town administrator because of RSA 37 gives the town manager certain authorities over running the town government, which a town administrator doesn't have. A town administrator only has the authority the Board of Selectmen give them, and under the RSA, that a town manager is required to be replaced. A town administrator or board can decide not to replace. And MRR stated that the 2008 town manager application pool is smaller and weaker than the pool of 2016. In 2016, we had 44. When I talked to MRI, he was thinking we might get around 20. So if you take a look at the chart, if we look at town managers, and the top is 110, the only two town managers that would be interested would be Bow and Littleton. We couldn't even hire Dave Owen for the amount of money that $110,000 if he wanted a $5,000 to $10,000 raise. So then you have to go down really to look at the town administrators, and of the town administrators, if we gave if they would move for 5,000, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If they moved for 5,000, if they needed 10,000, there were only 3. So I wanted to kind of look at this and see what you think of us discussing that with the budget committee, or any of the points that I just brought up. I don't know where the rest of you are on it.
Do they have this information?
No, they have the real small chart that we initially had, and I did this other information. I did it this week.
I think we should have it with you tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was thinking that we take a look at that, but I think
we all agreed originally of up to 120.
we did.
Mr. Chairman, relative to the public hearing tomorrow night with the Budget Committee, I've been in communication with the chairman of the committee about the weather tomorrow, and forecast we've seen call for 8 to 12 inches of snow with near blizzard-like conditions, and so we had a discussion about whether he should postpone the meeting to the following Tuesday when they had their second hearing scheduled. The last communication I had with him this afternoon was that he would call me about 10 o'clock in the morning and make that call, depending on how things are developing tomorrow. So there is a possibility that the public hearing will get postponed tomorrow evening, and if that happens, we'll have to scramble and notify everybody that it's off until the following Tuesday, the 9th.
I did ask Alan Gould of MRI whether it made any difference for us to hold up, because this will hold us up advertising, because I don't believe we can advertise for 120 if it's not in the budget. So he didn't think it would make a big difference, but we would need to, as soon as we find out for sure whether they were going to approve that or not, it wouldn't do us any good to go to the deliberative session. The advertisement would go out, and one person made the comment that, well, we could find the other money in the budget, but I don't believe that we should advertise for something we don't know that we have the money for. We'd have to take it out of somewhere else. I don't know what how other people feel about that.
I'll just say that, I have to look at this chart here that you provided. Once you explained it, it all made good sense then, and I think it definitely would help to, lay this right out to the Budget Committee at the meeting either tomorrow or on Tuesday, because it kind of shows where we're at, what we're up against as far as other towns and everything there. And I think it definitely proves our point of what we, why we went up to the $120,000. So I think this would be very good to have, to give to them, and that to, give that explanation like you just did.
Okay. Dave, do you have anything?
I think we should wait and see what happens with the public hearing.
Yeah. Is there any part of what I said that one of you would like to do? I mean, they've heard from me, and there were 2 members who weren't there, and I'm assuming that that's it. I'm willing to give this, but if there's any part of this that one of the other of you would like to give, I'd be more than willing to have you talk to it, or if somebody wants to talk to the spreadsheet. I think it would be good that they hear from each one of us for a part of this. So I don't know if anybody wants to.
I think we can just support whatever you say.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with that.
All right.
I mean, we supported it from the beginning.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't think it's been any secret where we stand on it.
Yep.
I'd like to hear their rationale.
Okay.
We haven't heard that yet.
No, I wasn't there to hear the last one, so. Okay, well, I'll see you either tomorrow night or Tuesday night.
Okay. Any old business? Any other business? Mr. Owen, Town Manager's report?
Yes, not a whole lot to report this evening. I can inform the board that Wes Smallage was in the town hall again today in his wheelchair. He was in the town hall one day last week also. So he is getting around in a wheelchair and seems to be very upbeat and positive about things. But, you know, he's still got quite a long road to go as far as recovery, I believe. I provided the board with a summary of the Budget Committee's actions last Thursday evening, where they cut $56,940 from the general fund budgets of the town and reduced the increase in the town budget for the general fund budgets to 2.85%. I think that was their goal, to get it under 3%, so they achieved their goal. They also made a couple of cuts to the water and the electric generation budget, so the total increase in the town budget, including the enterprise funds and the general fund, is 4.66%. Most of that is driven by a very large increase in the electric purchase of power contract, which is going up nearly $1 million next year. And it's already included in the electric rates, so it has no effect on the electric rates. So I think you have that information. I don't know if you have any questions or comments on any of it.
I right away spotted that they had decreased the hydrant fee, and Dave pointed out they decreased the water capital outlay, and therefore the 18% was of a smaller number, so.
Yep.
That's how that happened.
That's how that worked.
Pretty arbitrary.
What?
Pretty arbitrary.
I think I also included in your packet a notice we got from the University of New Hampshire about one of our highway crew employees passing the first phase of the Road Scholars program. It's Richard Hanks. So it's always good to see that we have people taking training like that. That's really all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. Committee reports, start on there with Brad.
Yeah, so last night we had a planning board meeting. It was pretty much a work session. We had a very long discussion on our master plan, how we're going to do our kickoff and stuff on that. There'll be a lot of information coming out very shortly on that. At a Wolfeboro Community TV meeting, and you're going to have to help me, Timothy. The date that we have set for the annual meeting is January 23rd at, is it at 8 o'clock? That's a Tuesday, Tuesday morning, the 23rd, up at the high school at the Votech Center, 8 a.m. And that was it for me for meetings.
Linda?
Well, I spent most of the last 2 weeks trying to make sure we had everything together for last night in Wolfeboro 2017. It was a success. I would say we have about 1,200 people at the different events. The scavenger hunt, even with that frigid weather, we had about 50 individuals. They had 17 slips go out. Just Barb Bob and Marla Interactive Music and Puppetry had 122. Then we had Tricky Dick the Magician, and the kids were just wild, loved it. We had about 200 there. We had Balloon Man down in the front entrance, and he was making hats and rings and all sorts of stuff. We think we had about 50 go through there. Then we followed with bingo, and we had about 68 people attend bingo. We stopped and watched the fireworks out the window, and then at 7 o'clock, contra dancing started, and we had 46 people who were willing to come out at night. Out in the hall, we had the Abenaki ski team selling snacks, and they did very well to help the team. And in donations, we got $611. When we handed out a survey, and we got about 60 back, 35 of the people who responded were from Wolfeboro, 15 were from surrounding towns, and then 10 were from other towns. And we asked, how did you hear about the event? And 27 from the newspaper, 25 from social media, 5 from the flyer, and 4 from the radio. So that kind of tells you how people get their information. And people seem to be very happy. We will try to get it up and running again next year. And this place was packed and used all weekend. And Mr. Owen got us a custodian for the night, which allowed us to get all the sand and grit off the floor between each of the vents, and that was a big help. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Linda. I actually went to the lasagna dinner, and I saw the Balloon Man.
He's quite a character, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Dave?
Well, I'm into the fireworks. Sat in my truck and watched it. Also went to a Conservation Commission meeting as well.
Questions from the press? Public input? 3 minutes per resident. Captain, Matthew, Ford. Okay.
I'll make a motion, we go to non-public.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, yes, yes.